Hey everyone out there, Darcy from the Tonal Persuasion Method for Sales, joined by the great man, Mr. John Sharkey. How are you, John?
Awesome, Darcy. Super excited, mate, to have a conversation.
Excellent. So I've asked John along today. We had a conversation about 10 minutes ago. John's like, what on earth are we actually going to cover? A lot of people ask these questions when it comes to these interviews. But John, I want to introduce you first of all for the people that are watching this that don't know who you are. John has been in the coaching and mentoring space for how long now, John? About 5 years?
5 years. Yeah, it's 5 years.
And who do you typically work with? What's your sort of...
Yeah, you know, Darcy, you know yourself, that is an ever-evolving spectrum for many people because you're constantly going through this growth, learning, attract, and then you go up, attract. And if I was putting the simplest terms, there's kind of two key areas I work with. One is what I have this change code that I do in organizations. I go in, work with groups of people, particularly if somebody or an organization is going through some major change. We go in there with transitional leaders. I do that. On the other side here, about 70%, when I look at I AD it and break it down, about 70% of my clients are women, typically in the corporate spectrum, typically professionals who kind of arrive at this space. They've got the mask on. They hit that precipice point where they're in compare and despair. Do I want to move forward? What am I doing it for? Outside, they've been educated to look for the success to go in that direction. But this here, as in, let's call it the heart, wants to go in this direction. Yeah. And so when I get to have the privilege of working with them, we get to consolidate a lot of stuff and realign a few things and move in the right direction.
Love it. And one of the things that we've done a lot of training together, John. We've done a lot of work together. We've become quite close over those 5 years, which is fantastic. And we were having a discussion the other day where the idea for this interview came about. And myself and John, we were having a coffee and we were talking, John, about this business journey and the ups and downs and the roller coasters of it all. And my mind immediately went to, how can I help my sales community with this? How can they hear what John has to say?
Yeah, totally.
Apply it to the context of sales. Now, I just want to hear your thoughts, John. As a man that has had success in this field, in business, has had success out of this field as well. You've done very well in other fields as well. What do you think is this roller coaster, this up and down of business that we tend to go on? And do you think it is ever curbed?
Look, and that was a really cool conversation, by the way. And the really cool conversations are the ones like these ones when you don't necessarily know where it's going to go, but there's somewhere in there you're going to pieces of gold that you're going to pick up on, and they stay with you for days and weeks and months. And you're spot on, Darcy. One of the things I've realized is when you get clear on what success is to you, success for me is been able to go to, like, you can see a music lesson. So I'm learning the guitar, and I've been doing that for 6 months now. And that's success to me because it accesses a different part of my brain, brings me into different social situations, and it sets me up for something in the future that I don't know what that's going to be. So I get excited about that. That's not to say that I'm not excited also about working with people and having the materialistic successes that we spoke about. But somehow, when you get clear on certain things with yourself and what you do, so you clear out certain things in your life, you arrive at this space, and I hope I'm making sense here, is one of the key things that I'm noticing about myself lately is, and for whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to judge it, I've arrived at a space where I realize I can't go on this journey on my own. Nobody's supposed to go on this journey on their own. Now, some people get that very early on, the piece. Yeah. It took me a while to get that. It took me a while to go, you know what, I'm struggling with some shit here. Can we catch up for coffee? And I've started doing that. And here's the really interesting thing. That's not a weakness. That's a strength that I think a lot of people think they have to go and do it on their own, or they have to climb the mountain on their own. Nobody fucking makes it anywhere decent on their own. And I know you know, and I know that, and we kind of know it conceptually. But it's only when the rubber hits the road and you find yourself in a space where you're in the shit with something, and maybe in the business or your relationship or whatever, then you reach out and you go, you know what, I don't know how to figure this out. Any chance of meeting for a cup of coffee? people will fall over themselves. Like, people will come to you, and the next thing you know, you get people sending you a message, I love to catch up for coffee, love. And I've been doing that for weeks now, and I got to tell you, it's almost like it's charged me back up, and I've started taking more action. But here's the thing, Darcy. Things have gone up a notch. Things, I don't always see it, but I feel it. And then when I start feeling it and I start believing it, then it starts showing up externally. New clients, different type of client, opportunities, interview with you. I met with an extraordinary lady yesterday at the same place that we met, who's a stalwart in one of the industries I've come from. And she just validated so many things of what's changing with people and the world and industries in general. And you're just sitting there going, people are waking up to this shit. Yeah. So
I've just been nodding my head. Am I
making sense? Because, and this is why I turn up to rooms with you, Darcy, because of the goal that you bring, or I turn up to other rooms, or I sign up with different, I'm a coach and I have a coach, or coaches. It's a bit like being a doctor, but you don't go to a doctor. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. I love what you said before about there's nothing wrong with that, with the asking for help. So many people think they need to do it on their own. And I know I work with clients a lot of the time where they'll come to me and they'll say, "Das, I'm struggling with this, and I need your help with this." And they think that if this little thing is solved, then everything will be solved.
No.
And if I've asked for help just once, then everything will be okay. Asking for help is not something that you do once, not in the sales field, not in the business growth field, not in any coaching field. Asking for help and being okay with that, and actually making it a strategy,
totally.
is actually a way of being, a way of
life. Yeah. And it's a great observation. Like, Darcy, it's people seem to think that if I've got problems in my business or my life, something's wrong. It's not wrong. It just is. And there's a great analogy I remember watching lately, that people have stopped risking forward. They've stopped opening themselves up to risk, and they tend to be, not everybody, sweeping generalizations aside, tend to be risk averse. And so what to do is to shoot up into their head, analyze the fuck out of everything, look for all the numbers, and base a decision on, I can't afford it, or it's too expensive. And here's the thing that I learned, and for me, I know when I'm making the right decision, because my physiological system or my sympathetic nervous system is always giving me feedback. You know, you're thirsty, you're tired, you're hungry, all that stuff, yeah? When I go to make a big decision that I know, it's like I get, somebody coined the phrase vomit out. Like, that's what it feels like. It's vomit out. I'm like, oh my God, so this is a big decision. And generally it's around money and wanting to do something. Here's the thing. Whenever I've done that and I've channeled that change within me and had that courage to step up into that, something really fucking cool happens afterwards. And so the more times you step up, have the bombing out, and then it gets less and less and less and less and less and less, your platform keeps rising, and you keep, I don't want to go off the screen, you keep growing and developing. And at the end of the day, Darcy, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
The more we grow, the more we've got to give. It's not rocket science, but it's been open to that. And it's been open to getting back to, what are you interested in now? What do you want to do? Where are you being pulled towards? Because that success that we spoke about does not do this. It does this. You know, it really does. And there's days where you're going, how the fuck did I end up in this? Like, but when you take responsibility, because you're a consciously aware, developing person all the time, you're not static, and you own it, and you sit in that pain or whatever it is, then eventually something clicks and you move forward.
Why do you think it is that people are afraid? You said before, people are scared of taking the risks, where we live in a world that is there's a lot of fear around, and it just seems to grow, especially if you turn on the news at 6 o'clock.
It's one word. Yeah. It's one word, Darcy, and it's the biggest word, and it's a very simple word, but it's a big word that I develop deeply, and you do too, with your clients, is you develop and bring them back to trust within themselves. There's elements of society where we stop trusting, and yet everything is built on trust. The financial currency system is built on trust. The investment systems, the educational system, all these systems that are in place are built on the currency of trust. Relationships, this relationship is built on the currency of trust. If you take this and you package it into something and then you sell it and you don't, share the spoils, well, I'm going to be pissed because I'm going to have an emotional response that's going, hey, dude, you're using, RIP and you're making something. Well, where's the trust in that?
Yeah, I'll just cross off that idea later.
Yeah. And this is where people are starting to wake up to the idea that they're going, well, I trust the government, or I trusted the medical system, or I trusted the legal system. And when something breaks down often enough, you stop buying that car because it's a fucking lemon.
Yeah.
And people are tired of lemons. And people are going, ding, this is really what's going on. So if I work on me, and I develop me in whatever capacity that is, because there's only one of you. You are you and I am me, and there's enough for everybody. Totally enough for everybody. I get that now. You've got to be in this for the long run. If you think you're going to come into this for a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, with love, fuck off, because you're on the wrong path. It's not going to work. And I say that with volition because I know for me, it's only now that I'm really, after 5 years, starting to really get into the nitty gritty of, well, who is John and what is he about and what does he bring?
That's so powerful.
Yeah, thanks.
I love that. Yeah. So in the context of being open to getting better, all right? So let's take both of those. We've got open to getting better and being okay with understanding that you need help on this business journey and this sales journey. And this is because this is mainly the people who are going to be watching it. The people who are in sales, the people who are in business, you need to be able to be vulnerable and ask for help from the people that you know can give it to you, right? And also, John, knowing how to trust who you want to ask for the help from. Yeah. How do you marry those two up? How do you know when you're making the right decision around this?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so 2 words popped into my head. A lot of people know why they want to do what they want to do. And you know this. Why do you want to get in business? I know why I want to be in business. I know why I want to have an impact. Regardless of your background, you're not always going to know how to do it. And so I read the space where, how do I do sales? How do I increase my revenue? And the quality of the question that you start asking yourself starts to then create a mechanism within you to start finding the answers. And you become like a dog with a bone, and it sits with you. And I know for me, when I'm asking those questions, I get this feeling, I'm like, and it's not so much it's frustration, it's a high level of curiosity. It's I become more, I can give more, my family, to my community, to my clients. And so the why will not always trump the how. And so when you start to really ramp that how up,
nice.
You ramp the how up, so getting to a room with you and understanding. And here's the thing, because there's people, I don't know, but in the early days, I used to kind of be this fringe dweller. I'd like even on Facebook, I'd see a post by somebody, I go, ooh, that post about, is he talking about me? Yeah. And I get all weird, and I go, fuck, that's weird. You're in the office on your own, John. Like, why are you reacting like that?
Why are you pulling that face?
Yeah. You're like, yeah, but has somebody seen me? And then all of a sudden you're like, that's because they've said something that's truthful. And so for people who are out there who just start to follow you or been with you or want to get in the room with you, if something activates them, they've got to get into the room. I would encourage them to get into the room, because I know wherever I get the opportunity, I'll be in the room with you. Because here's the thing, like in every training I've been into, there's so much content that's covered. You cannot possibly remember it all, but there's 1, 2, or 3 key things that you walk away with, that when you constantly implement that 1 or 2 or 3 things, like recently, one of the things that you spoke about was contrast.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Like,
I just sit here like, yes.
Like, ding, and it's gold. And even though you might have heard it in different language, when you hear it another way, then you're able to speak it to somebody else and go, well, yeah, $4,000 or $5,000 may seem like a lot for X, Y, and Z, but I tell you what, think about how much petrol you put into your car during the year. They go, oh yeah, it's about $3,000. All right, well, put your tax on top of that, and then put your insurance on top of that, and then put your running costs, you know, and everything else, and tires and blah blah. You know, they go, yeah, that's like $6,000-7,000 a year. I said, yeah. Well, what if you worked with somebody like me or yourself, and your outcome is you wanted a better car by the end of the year, or the end of us working together, because that's the outcome you're going to get. And they go, oh yeah, I would like the new.
Contrast makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect sense.
This is just one of the things that you can take away. It's so true. I mean, once you know that, once you know the little things, if you work with the people, and John, I really do appreciate it. You've mentioned me here as the example, but it doesn't even have to be me. It can be you. It can be
you rock, Darcy.
You rock. I appreciate that. Any field that you want, anything that you want to get better at running marathons. Work with someone that can teach you. You're not looking to take on everything. You're looking to be vulnerable enough to ask the questions that will give you 2 to 3 keys that you can take away and take action on, and the rest begins to take a life of its own. And it's your life of its own.
Darcy, there's wisdom in that. And you can't see it until you're past the wall. And what I mean by that is you can't see till you're past the wall is you can only see what's in front of you. And for say, let's just use the example. I don't know how to make more sales. But yet when you walk up to the wall and you walk to the side of it and you keep walking forward, you realize when you look back, oh, there's a back end to the wall. But you didn't see that when you're up close to it. There's something on the far side of that wall. And that's the constant learning and wisdom within the self that allows you to get the result that you're looking for. So really you are the wall.
Just drop these out.
Dunk.
I love it. Fantastic, John. Well, I'm going to wrap that up there. That's powerful stuff. And John, I do appreciate you coming here to share with the community. I wanted you on one of these interviews because I know that sales specifically is not your thing, but I know that the mindset strategies that you know and the power that you have to voice them out in a way that is persuasive is as powerful as anyone, John. And I think
it's a conversation, Darcy. You said that sales is a conversation. I mean, it's not about trying to convince somebody. It really is a conversation. That vulnerability that you spoke about, and that honesty, and asking for help. Yeah.
I love it. Good on you, John.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to post this out to the community. For those of you watching, comments, suggestions, shares below. Do what you need to do. We're always forever grateful. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next interview. Thanks, John.